Welcome back to the Fierce Fish First Tech Challenge programming tutorial series. Our goal in this series is to provide simple and straightforward guidance in programming an FTC robot. And in today's video, we are going to talk about servos and continuous rotation servos, or CR servos. Now this tutorial is not going to deal with the PWM for a servo. That's going to be a separate tutorial, and that's later on. Right now we're just going to focus on the basic servo class that we can use. So it's going to seem pretty simple compared to a DC motor, but we'll still go through all the motions and we'll go in and start initializing the servo. So just like a DC motor, we're going to go, instead of DC motor, we're going to go servo, and then the name we want to call our servo, which I'm going to call it test servo. And exactly like that is how you declare it. Now let's go into the hardware map and initialize it. Very similar to DC motor, test servo equals hardware map dot servo dot get, and we're going to go in here with the string, and this is going to be your configuration name, test servo. And then just like a DC motor as well, you can set the direction of the servo using set direction, and then your directions are forward and reverse, which is all the way down there for some reason. Reverse. So I'm just gonna leave it as reverse, because why not? Okay, and that's how you initialize the motor. This is linear op mode. We're gonna wait for start. Now here is the important thing. Servos, with the servo you set a position. The position is a double between 0 and 1. So 0 being the furthest one way, 1 being the furthest the other way. You'll have to test out your servos because different servos have different ranges. The Go Build a servos are the ones we like to really like to use, and they have a wide range. So your servo may not have too wide of a range, or it may have a super wide range. So you got to test that out with your servo. But anyways, here is how you set a servo direction. You'll go your servo name not direction, the position. It's dot set position. This is 0. It's between 0 and 1. No negatives, just 0 or 1, and anything in between that. So like 0.5, you can do it that way. So that's how you would do that. And the important thing with servos is they take some time to get to their position. So you're going to want to make sure you declare throws interrupted exception, and then make sure to use sleep, because that'll pause for a certain amount of time while you think the servo is moving. And that will be for your autonomous op modes. For your teleop, you can just do like press a button, the servo goes to this position. And there are also ways you can move a servo incrementally if you want it to move slower than it normally would. We're not going to discuss that because I think you can figure that out on your own. It's not too difficult. So let's move on to continuous rotation servos. So now let's go in here and declare CR servo. And I'll call it test CR servo. And that's how you declare a continuous rotation servo. Now let's go in here and hardware map it. So equals hardware map dot CR servo dot get, and then the string with your configuration name, just like that. And that's pretty much for everything we initialize. We're going to do it that way. And then of course you can, just like a regular servo, you can set the direction, and then I'll just set it to reverse to show you that it can be used as reverse. But here's the interesting thing. It uses DC motor simple because it acts just like a DC motor. If you think about it, a continuous rotation servo is just a slower motor. And it doesn't necessarily have the encoder for what you're looking for. So let's do a wait for start. And then the way you set the power to the servo that you want it to go is just like a DC motor. So let's do our test crservo.set power. And this is again between -1 and 1. A regular servo, if you're setting a position, is between 0 and 1. crservo is between -1 and 1. So for your programs, this can act just like a DC motor minus the encoder portion. If you just say, like, if this joystick is past this position, you can set the servo power to certain power. It just like a motor is how a crservo would work. And I guess that's going to do it for this tutorial. Today we learned about initializing servos and continuous rotation servos, as well as how to use them and their methods. And so from all of us here at Fierce Fish, we hope you have a great day.